Hi, we are at my mom's house, Annie Reid, to be a part of the virtual Fall Fest. My mom normally goes to the museum each year to do a darning demonstration, and this year we decided we would come to her. My mom, of course, darning was done when your socks got worn and there was a hole appeared. You didn't throw them out for sure. You patched the hole. And in some cases, in the case of this sock, you would put a whole new heel in that sock. So I'm going to let my mom tell you how she learned to darn and knit, and passed on that to her children and her grandchildren. So who taught you to darn?
My grandmother. I got to say my grandmother, I suppose. The only mom I knew. But she taught us how to do everything we knew. every little thing I learned from her, I guess. Or mostly. At homework anyway, at housework. We had to knit. We sheared sheep. We picked wool. We carded wool. I didn't do much spinning because she wouldn't let me. We'd break her spinning wheel. But we had to learn to knit and darn. We had a hole in our sock. We had to sit down and fix it. But she showed us what to do. She was a good teacher. Wonderful. Yeah. But we had to listen to her. She was teaching us something. We had to make sure that we got it.
So she was a bit strict with you?
Oh, yes, a little bit.
I think she let you have too much your own way.
I don't know.
So darning was done out of necessity?
Yes. Yes. We had a hole in our sweater, we darned it. And even if it was a cotton one, you darn it with not only worsted, you darn with thread too.
Okay.
Yeah. You had a hole. If you had a button gun, you sewed a button on.
So, when you're darning, can you tell us how it's done?
Well,
Can you turn it to show the
I
camera?
will show it now. You run your threads, your wool, back and forth, and then you loop it one basket ways like. One on top, one under, one on top, one under till you close it in.
Mm-hmm.
Close your wool in.
Yeah.
So, the only man knows to explain it.
And I know often, normally, when Mom was darning for us, I mean, she'd always use as close to the same color.
Oh, you always try and get the same color wool.
Yeah, not me.
No, not you.
And if she had a little smaller wool, she'd always use a little smaller.
Darning wool.
Yes.
You could get it as in little skeins, they used to call it, and it was refined for fine wool. When it was homespun wool, you had to darn with homespun mustard.
So you've darned a few pair of socks over the years now?
A few pair mitts, a few sweaters, elbows out sweaters.
So my daughter is with us today as well, and my mom passed on her love of fiber to my sister and I, and to my daughter as well.
I was what, 3, 4?
4, but
Something like that.
yeah, around 4, I guess. Not much more than no, you was no over 4.
It's a little.
So Mom taught you, not me.
No, not you.
She
I
wasn't,
definitely did.
she wasn't very old. And I'd be knitting, and she might get in my arms, and I was scared to stick needles in her, the knitting needles. So she used to say, I can do that. So anyway, I let her try it. Oh yes, she could make her stitch. So then I taught her, and I put a few stitches on a needle for her, and she sat down by me and, well, look, Mom Reed, she used to call me, Mom Reed. Look, Mom Reed, I can do it. But then she used to laugh at her mother. She'd sing out to her mother, Mommy, I can knit. And watch television and rock in the chair. And Mommy can't knit. So I said, Mommy can knit, but she don't do much.
So once the long stitches are made, and the
And your
ends,
best,
yes, the
ways
ends are
of-
secured, you weave
yeah,
on top and then under.
yeah.
And what I remember most about Mom's darning, other than her darning, was how neat it used to be. She complains a little bit now because of
Oh,
her hands and she
I
can't do a
can't
neat
do it
darn.
neat now, job now.
It would be so neat when she finished.
Oh yes, we had to do it like that, or else it wouldn't be. Wouldn't be nice. And Grammy Reed, she was a good teacher too. She liked darning, and she was a good knitter too. That was my mother-in-law. She was good.
And I'm sure her daughters have done lots of wonderful knitting as well.
Ah, yes. Yes, their two daughters was really good knitters. Still is.
Mom, tell the story about when you were a little girl and you picked wool. That you went,
Oh,
you had to have now other people as well. You
Oh,
weren't just
yes.
out
God love her. I went and I sat down about,
your 2 days.
oh yes, it was 2 days, at a friend's house, because she had a small baby, and she was only young her own self, and she had a lot of work to do, and Mom made me go, I told me I had to go and help her. Because that's how it was then. Older people made the young ones go and help somebody older. Or somebody that had a family. Help them do their work. And 2 days picking wool. And for to send it away and get it spun, some spun herself. And so guess what I got paid for it? 2 little A-cups.
5 cents.
And 5 cents.
Yeah. Which was a lot of money back then.
Oh, I guess it was. I thought I had the world.
Yeah. That's a wonderful story. I love that.
We'd be
story.
very excited over that. Now, I gave one of her daughters one of the cups
Okay.
a couple of years ago. Her oldest daughter, her oldest daughter, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love that story.
Yeah.
It was, how everyone would help, and whenever someone needed help, they just,
And they used to get together too, the women, and met, perhaps 3 or 4 of them, and they'd have their mat frames in their room, some of their material knit, the yoke and mats, or they might have a knitting frolic, they used to call it. They all take their knitting and go to somebody's house tonight, and probably for a couple of nights, and then somebody else's house the next night, and then the knit.
I do remember quilting bees.
Oh,
because
yes.
I remember
They used to
being in Aunt Mary's house and
Yes.
all working
Yeah.
at a quilt with
Yeah.
a whole bunch of women.
Oh, yes.
So kind of like a craft night we do now. The only
Yes.
thing now, we mostly work on our own projects.
Yeah.
But then most people would often work on
Oh, and then me and another lady, well, we had a seniors group, and we all took a block and did patches, little pieces of cotton, sewed it on,
crazy quilt.
and made a crazy quilt. Then we me and this other lady put them all together. Made a quilt, a large quilt for a large bed. And had to do them all. That wasn't only just putting them together. Then we had to go and cross stitch them all. So that was a task. But I've done 3 since that. Not since that, no. 2 before that and 1 since that. Myself.
And crazy quilts or patchwork quilts, we call them crazy quilts, were
Yeah.
often, well, they were done with scraps of fabric that were often all piece of clothing that could no longer be worn. They picked out the best parts of it. And
The backs of blouses and men's shirts and stuff like that, and dresses.
And Claudine helped you with that
Yeah.
for the seniors. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Well, Nora Nat and Leah Nat, they came over across the street and helped us put some of it together.
Okay.
Done some
Herringbone
herringbones.
stitch.
Yeah. Now that's the hole I got darned.
Yeah. And of course, if it was grey,
That's-
the same colour as your sock,
You wouldn't notice
You
it.
wouldn't notice it, no. Often now, today, we don't, and we will do it with a different colour, a bright colour, or something that you will see.
Yes. And the young ones now likes that. But we would never do anything like that. Some of these, I tell you, was well worn out.
Yes, I think so.
I licked the line side of them. They ripped it out of their feet.
We just brought that pair in so that you'd have something to do.
Yeah, I know.
Mama,
Last year I darned 2 or 3 pair, I think. It was only smaller holes like this one. And one, I did have enough wool that I fixed the heel. I picked it up with knitting needles and fixed the heel.
Mom often, like if the foot got so that it couldn't be
Oh yes.
turned, she would put a new bottom in. Now, I've often seen where they would cut off the foot and just start a new foot. But
No.
Mom didn't do that. She just cut out the bottom
Yeah.
and put a new bottom on the side.
I showed Ronnie what to do too.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That kind of
So,
always fascinated me.
Yeah. And I know Adrian Payne had a pair of pants. And the front of them was gone. Knees, legs. And I said, I could fix them for you if I had another pair. Yes, mate, he said. Because he said, they're lovely pants. He said, I liked them. But he had an accident or something that fell down and beat the knees out of them. So very good. He found another pair of pants and I ripped the backs of the legs out. Ripped down the 2 legs and cut that off what was broke and sewed it back in the backs of another pair in the front for his pants. So only last year I heard him say, I think my mother did this. I said, I don't think your mother did. I think that was Annie Reed did that. Oh, God love you, so it was, he said.
Well, the ladies had to be very creative because one time
Well, maybe we made her.
fabric and yarn and those things weren't plentiful as they are today.
No,
It was, you know,
you had a hard job to get material. You know?
or yarn.
So-
Yarn was
Yeah.
hard work to. It
When
was something
our-
that had to be done. It
Our
wasn't
wool
leisure.
was mostly our homespun. You spin it fine or you have heavier or whatever way you want it. And even for mats and everything. And we knit blocks for quilts. Things like that. My dear. We was pretty creative, I guess. Yeah. Well then I gave it up and went, I was only 15, but then I went to work at the hospital and couldn't remember how to do anything like that. So one night I decided I wanted a pair of socks. Now how was I going to do it? So one of my friends was patient in the hospital, a very, very close friend. So I picked it up on my own and made my stitches and knit my leg. Got down to the heel, couldn't remember how to do it. Well, I said, I'm finished now. So, talking to her, I said, I know you know how to knit. Anyway, oh yes. I said, Mel, I can't remember how to knit the on sack. Well, she said, I knew it when all the patients gets to sleep. Come in. She said, and I'll come out, you can let me know. She said, I'll come out if you're not busy. So that's what she did. She came out and showed me how to knit the heel.
Do you remember what type of heel that was? Because there's different types of heel. Was
Well,
it what they call the
that-
soldier's heel?
yeah, well that's the V heel, the man used to call it the soldier's heel. Used to
Okay.
knit it with a V.
Yeah, that's the way I do mine.
Yeah, yeah, that's how you do the Christmas stockings too on the pattern. I said, but this was just a square heel like this, like that.
Mhm.
So that's how she showed me back in the, but now I still knit the two different kinds of heel if I was knitting. Oh yes. Anyway, I'll knit one little pair. My hands got bad and I had to give up knitting. I knit one little pair of socks. Only extras that. And I gave them to a little girl who was here last year. And she danced and flicked with a while. So then I decided I'd knit another little pair. But somebody made away with my worsted. I finally got some almost like it, but I didn't get enough.
Mom's got arthritis in her hands, so she's unable to knit much now. So
And I can't maneuver my hands around like I used to with my fingers. Ah, my. It's hard. You're used to doing things and you can't do it to satisfy your mind.
So, yeah, so we'd like to thank you for joining us today.
Oh.
And hopefully next year
Yes,
you might be
please.
able to come to the museum in Cowhead, the Dr. and European Community
Please,
Museum,
God.
which is where we normally do our
Yeah.
darning demonstrations for Fall Fest.
I showed a lady and her husband last year out of Durham, and he was fascinated, and he said, never no more will I wear a hole in my sock. And he did it really well. They were from the States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this year they're unable to come, but
Yeah.
next year they
Next
may
year
be able to
maybe.
come back again.
They never know. Maybe I'll find them.